Chapter 26. When I went to school on Monday, the first thing I did was look for Harrison. His desk was empty. I tried to get ready for the social studies quiz, but I couldn't help checking every few minutes. Then, a few minutes after the bell rang, Harrison came hobbling in. He was on crutches. "Still getting used to these things," he said to Miss Phelps. I waited for Harrison to look my way, hoping for a smile or something. He didn't. He probably hates me. A feeling of disappointment wrapped around me. It was the best conversation we ever had, and look what happened. Finally, it was time for lunch. At least I had lunch to look forward to. Instead of the usual peanut butter and jelly, I had lemon chicken, one of Yipo's best dishes. I watched the clock tick toward lunchtime. I swear that the hands go slower as it grew closer. I grabbed my lunch and headed toward the cafeteria with the rest of my class. My mouth quavered in anticipation of tangy lemon flavor blending with the gently steamed chicken. I eagerly unscrewed the top of the container. Wow! I dropped the lid and started inside. There, on the topmost piece of chicken, was a small, dead cricket. It might as well have had a little card attached saying, "Compliments of Sloane Connors." How did she do that? My mind raced back over the morning schedule. Social studies quiz, language arts, music. Ah, that's it. She must have slipped it into the classroom while we were in music class. It would have been easy for someone like Sloane, who's always running errands for the teacher. Haley and Serena were missing lunch right now because they were helping the art teacher, Miss Fellworth. "Is that what I think it is?" asked Madison in a low voice. "Yeah, I guess it's my good friend Sloane thinks I'm not getting enough protein." "Throw it away," urged Talent. "We'll share our lunches with you." I looked at the cricket again. Having once had a frog on my plate, I wasn't that grossed out by the cricket. "I have a better idea. Is Sloane watching?" Madison turned her head ever so slightly and checked. "Oh yeah, you've got the whole Amazon crew looking." I carefully dug my fork in, stabbing a piece of chicken from the cricket. I lifted it up and ate with great relish. "I don't know what's different, but this is the best lemon chicken ever," I announced. Shrieks erupted from the next table. Then I waited. We had recess after lunch along with Sloane's class. For the first time in months, I didn't avoid Sloane. I didn't have long to wait. Sloane, Gabby, and Ariana slithered over to me. I could have sworn that Sloane was panting with glee. Madison scooted over to me until her arm was touching mine. Talent stood next to mine on either side. "Hi, Sloane," I said brightly. Sloane looked a little surprised and glanced at Gabby and Ariana. "Hi, Lucy," she said uncertainly. Then, gaining a little steam, she added, "How was your lunch today?" "It was great. I had lemon chicken, one of my favorite dishes, and today it was even better than usual." "Really?" Sloane turned and gave the Amazons a look. "Why do you think—" I cocked my head to one side, pretending to think very hard. "Extra lemons." Sloane looked like she might explode. Then she burst out, "You ate a cricket! Oh my God, you ate a cricket!" Sloane started cackling gleefully. Gabby and Ariana actually took a step away from her. "This is what I had hoped for." "Don't be silly, Sloane," I said deliberately. "I know what a cricket looks like, and I certainly didn't eat one. But I can't imagine you thought there was a cricket in my lunch unless you put it there yourself." I raised my voice just a bit in the last sentence. "There are no 300 taels of silver here." Suddenly, Sloane realized what she had done. She stopped laughing just in time to see Miss Phelps turn our way and tilt her head to one side. Sloane's eyes widened. "You don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, and her group quickly scattered. A cool, pleasant feeling began to fill me up like a drink of water. That was awesome, said Talent. I turned to Madison and Talent. Wouldst thou think to play some basketball? I said, using my best Queen of England accent. Talent shook her head, holding up a book as an excuse. Maybe next time. But Madison said, I couldn't imagine anything more delightful, in an equally haughty accent, and we headed to the courts. I was so excited when I came home from school that I ran around the house looking for Yi Po. She was in the living room, reading a Chinese newspaper. Wo ze jie xing chi wu yu wei ge lan chou bisai. Suddenly, I realized I was speaking Chinese without thinking about it first. I'm having a basketball game at school this Friday. Yi Po put her newspaper down and listened. Wait, did she have a mahjong game on Friday? I know you have mahjong, but will you come and will you bring a can of food? I finished. I was pretty sure that I had messed up about half the word order and maybe some pronunciation. But I had surprised myself. I did actually know all the words I wanted to use. I even remembered the word for can, gao tu. Yi Po pretended to dribble a ball and shoot it. Then she cupped her hand into a shape of a can. Then she pointed at me. I nodded. A wide grin spread across her face. She held up her hand for a high five. Maybe the best year ever was still possible. Chapter 27. I wish I could say that the rest of my family had an equally positive reaction when I invited them to the game that night at dinner. Dad shook his head. I've got a meeting Friday afternoon. We've already moved the meeting twice. I wish you had told me earlier, Lucy, said Mom. I will try to work out something, but I can't make any promises, okay? I couldn't shake the feeling that if I had invited them to something like a science fair or spelling bee, they'd be trying harder to come. What about you, Kenny? I asked. Kenny got out of school earlier because he was in high school, though he usually stayed for after-school clubs. An elementary school basketball game? I don't know. He shoved a forkful of shredded pork and tofu into his mouth. Come on, I begged. They might have food. I wasn't sure of this, but it wasn't the best bribe I could come up with. Kenny took another bite of food and considered. Maybe, he said. Any feelings of triumph I had about my encounter with Sloane officially disappeared at 9:17 a.m. the next day. That's when Miss Phelps made an announcement. The president of the PTA had a suggestion for this Friday's game. Instead of just bringing cans of food to the game as part of the food drive, you will also be using your cans to vote for a team captain, she said. Each person will be allowed to vote with their can of food. So now the team captain will be determined by the number of free throws he or she makes, plus the number of cans of food he or she receives in the voting. No way! My jaw nearly hit the desk. Now Sloane knew she couldn't scare me off the court. She was getting her mother to rig things for her. I wanted to jump on top of my desk and yell, "Cheater!" The whole class began to talk. Miss Phelps pressed her lips together and frowned. It's the face she makes when she's trying not to yell at us. Obviously, this isn't what was planned in the beginning, but in any event, please be sure to bring your cans of food to school on Friday and vote for your pick. Now, moving on to today's test on fractions. I wasn't sure, but I thought Miss Phelps seemed kind of annoyed by the whole thing, too. That's it. I'm sunk, I said at lunch. There's no way I'll get to be captain now. I'll vote for you, said Madison. And so will Haley, Serena, Lauren, and a bunch of the other kids. We'll bring lots. Haley and Serena nodded in agreement. Mrs. Connors knows tons of people through the PTA. She's here all the time, right? She'll get everyone to vote for Sloane. I slouched in my chair. You can't give up, though. Not now. You can't just... Let her be captain without even taking a shot? Argued Madison. I thought of something else. You know, all this time we haven't been thinking of anyone else who could be trying out for captain. Other people will also be trying out, you know, to give Sloane some competition. Madison narrowed her eyes at me. Find someone who can sink a free throw like you. I knew that Madison was getting annoyed with me, but I was fed up. I had officially had enough of Sloane Connors. We'll just see about that, I said. During a recess, I went over to the basketball game some boys had every day after lunch. I usually didn't play with them because they didn't play by the rules all the time. I swear, I once saw Paul Terry take about a dozen steps without dribbling the ball on his way to the basket. Hello, it's called traveling. I stood watching them, waiting for a break in the action. Eventually, Paul subbed out to take a break. Hey, Paul, I said in a low voice. I was a little nervous. I didn't talk to Paul much, and he was about 10 feet taller than me. Hey, he said. He didn't even look at me. He was too busy watching the game. So, I was beginning to wish I hadn't started this. Are you going out for captain on Friday, right? Paul made a horking sound in his throat and spit into the grass. Ew. Nah, he said. I don't think so. Why not? I was really surprised. Out of all the 6th grade boys, Paul seemed a surefire bet. I figure I'm so much taller than the rest of you guys, you probably wouldn't be able to play my style, so no. Wait a minute. She? Is this what you think? Or is this what someone told you? I asked. Does it matter? Sure it does, I said. Sloane had gotten to him. But you're playing, right? I don't know, Paul muttered. It's just some dopey school game anyway. Look, we need you, I said. We need some big guys on the team, or we won't have an inside game against the teachers. Paul half smiled. I think he liked being referred to as a big guy. You're taking this awfully seriously, he said. Just say you'll play. Yeah, I might. Great, I said. I hurried away, looking for the other kids. Oscar has great speed and good ball handling skills. Said he wasn't trying out for captain because his English not so good. I heard that Jeremy, a kid in Miss Tibbs' class with a nice outside jumper, was holding back because Sloane said she might go to the dance with him if we had one. Teresa, who played basketball with Madison and me last year, just shook her head and folded her lips shut when I had asked her about it. Sloane had gotten all of them except me. I made them promise to play, and I asked them all to vote for me. Chapter 28. The day I had finally come. We were all standing in the gym, the 6th grade basketball team. The whole school was watching us. In the crowd I could see Mom, Yipo, and Kenny, and there was Regina. Regina! I couldn't believe she had made it. Dad wasn't there, though. But there was no time to worry. Everyone quieted down. Mrs. Nicholson, the principal, was speaking into the microphone. Her hair was braided into dozens of little braids, and she was wearing a royal blue suit. Before the actual game begins, we have a very exciting contest between Sloane Connors and Lucy Wu to determine who will be captain of the 6th grade team. As you probably know, the captain will be determined by who has the most vote for her by the way of bringing in cans of food, plus the number of free throws she makes. As it happens, Sloane and Lucy receive the exact number of cans, 127. Therefore, it all comes down to the free throws. Without further ado, I would like Miss Wu to step to the free throw line. A bolt of nervous energy through me. This was exactly what I had hoped for. Bring on the free throws. I stood on the line dribbling and studying the hoop. The edges on the backboard glowed from the bright lights, making a little hard to see the basket. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't overthink. Just shoot. I released the ball, letting my hand drop as the ball spun away. Perfect form. I watched the ball race through the air, heading straight for the basket. It's going to be nothing but nets. At the last second, though, something odd happened. The ball just fell away from the hoop, as if a giant invisible hand had slapped it away. For a moment there was complete silence in the gym. Then I heard the tiniest giggle, which started in one corner and rippled outward. Everyone was laughing, cackling, snorting, snickering, filled the air. Mrs. Nicholson was laughing. I looked over at my family. My dad was there now, and my whole family had their heads thrown back, laughing so hard that I could see their back teeth. Even Madison looked like she was trying not to laugh. I wanted to die. I wanted to slink out of the gym and start a new life, one that didn't involve basketball or mean families. A new life with a new best friend. But I couldn't leave. A giant cricket was standing in the doorway holding my lunch. Pat Summitt was standing next to the cricket, shaking her head. I sat up in bed to grasp the darkness around me. The only sound in the room was my breathing. I looked at the clock. It was 2:07 a.m. In the other bed, Yipo was fast asleep. It was just a dream, I told myself. Everything's going to be fine. I tried to find a comfortable position and go back to sleep, but nothing seemed to work until a few minutes before I had to get up.